Good, happy Monday morning, September 30th, 2019, the last day of September. Welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this morning, so let's begin. First up, firefighters look for cause in massive fire in Northwood. The fire destroyed a historic Masonic lodge on Saturday. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
In every season, your comfort is our priority. For a limited time, get up to 10% off heating installations. AJ LeBlanc, New Hampshire's premier source for HVAC.
Pile of rubble and ash is all that remains of this former historic Masonic lodge in Northwood. Massive flames tore through that building last night. The Masons in that area have called it their own since the late 1800s. Now those who know its history are working to pick up the pieces. Northwood firefighters returned to the scene to douse hot spots at what remains of Morrison Lodge 90, still smoldering hours after intense flames consumed the historic Masonic lodge.
The flames were coming up through the roof at the time we got there, and it was just hard to see that much history and memories going up in flames.
The walls of the building were steeped in Tuttle family history, 4 generations, starting with Dennis Tuttle Jr.'s grandfather in the early 60s, all the way down to his son.
I remember hosting many dinners and plays and different events there for the community, helping the community.
No one was inside at the time. The Masons and members of Eastern Star, who also used the lodge, were all working at the Deerfield Fair when the fire broke out.
Just closing down last night, I got a phone call that the building was on fire.
Everything was destroyed by the fire, including paintings of Revolutionary War scenes.
Things you can't replace, yes. It's all things that were hand-painted back in the 1800s. It was all horsehair plaster walls. It was all an old building that has a lot of character.
What comes next for them is unclear, but the Masons are focused on the future.
We will come forward from this in some way, and we will make it a better place.
Now, the cause is still under investigation. The fire chief says they plan to review surveillance video from nearby businesses, as well as body cam footage from the police officers on that scene to get a better idea of exactly where that fire started.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Bernie Sanders campaigns on New Hampshire college campuses Sunday. Candidate urged young voters to get involved with political process. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Mrs. Smith, we got your water test results back.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so your arsenic levels are really high.
Commitment 2020 now, and Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders is stopping by several New Hampshire colleges today for rallies. This is video of Sanders at Plymouth State University earlier today. CNN released a poll today showing Sanders and rival Joe Biden neck and neck in Nevada at 22%, with Elizabeth Warren within the margin of error at 18%. Today, Sanders urged young voters in the crowd to get involved in the political process.
The truth is that if your generation, say people under 30, voted at the same percentage rates as people over 65, we can transform this country.
Sanders also visited New England College in Henniker and is attending a rally at Dartmouth College that started at 5:30.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And let's take a look at your 2020 New Hampshire candidate tracker for Monday, September 30th, 2019. Bernie Sanders, he has 2 stops today in New Hampshire. His first stop, breakfast with Bernie at the American Legion Merrill Fallensby Post, number 37 in Hooksett, New Hampshire at 10 o'clock a.m. His second stop, a rally at UNH in Durham, New Hampshire at 5 p.m. Bill Weld, he has 2 stops today in New Hampshire. His first stop, roundtable discussion at the New Hampshire Institute of Politics at St. Anselm College in Manchester, New Hampshire at 10:30 a.m. And his second stop, family justice discussion in Manchester, New Hampshire at 2 p.m. Those are the 2 candidates that will be in New Hampshire today. JDRF One Walk raises $130,000 in Manchester to fight type 1 diabetes. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
In every season, your comfort is our priority. For a limited time, get up to 10% off heating installations. AJ LeBlanc, New Hampshire's premier source for HVAC.
Hundreds hit the pavement in Manchester today in hopes of finding a cure for type 1 diabetes. The JDRF One Walk left Northeast Delta Dental Stadium this morning for a 5-mile walk around the Queen City before returning back to the ballpark. The event raises awareness and money for research to treat, prevent, and hopefully one day cure the disease.
It's really exciting to look out and see all the enthusiastic people that are out there. I mean, families really go the extra mile because they're very passionate about making a difference in the community.
About $130,000 was raised today. More than 600 people took part in that walk.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. New Hampshire state budget raises smoking age to 19. The minimum age for buying tobacco products in New Hampshire is going up, but not as much as some advocates wanted. After a bill to increase the purchase age from 18 to 21 stalled in the state, much of its language resurfaced in the state budget. But Republican Governor Chris Sununu vetoed the budget in June, and the compromise he signed this past week includes a previous to raise the age only to 19. Several New Hampshire communities, including Dover, Keene, and Newmarket, already have enhanced so-called Tobacco 21 ordinance. More than a dozen states have increased the minimum age for buying tobacco to 21, including Maine and Vermont. Friends of Dover businessman detained in Lebanon plea for his release. Rally held Sunday outside of Le Mans Dover restaurant. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Tim Calorie.
Mrs. Smith, we got your water test results back.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so your arsenic levels are really high.
Well, a rally was held this afternoon for Amir Corey here at his Dover restaurant. A sign was posted to the front door in early September notifying customers he would be away for vacation, but he never made it back. Now there's a new sign asking those same customers for prayers and his safe return. Nearly 36 people showed up for a rally Saturday afternoon, bringing awareness to what they describe as a dire situation.
Our friend has been tortured, he's been abused, he's been dragged on the floor, food and water has been withheld.
Deplorable conditions, says family friend Allison Schaff, who worries about Amir Corey's well-being while detained in Lebanon.
At this time, they still have nothing on Amir, and they're holding him illegally. And we need to bring him home.
Lebanese officials say Corey was detained over his work decades ago at a prison in the country that was run by an Israeli-backed militia. According to news reports from Lebanon and information from U.S. officials, Corey worked as a warden at the Qayyam prison in the 1980s and 1990s and was dubbed the Butcher of Qayyam. But those who attended the rally say that is not the Corey they know.
Amir is the type of person that you meet him once and you are his friend. He's just an amazing human being.
They accused the Lebanese government of fabricating stories about Corey, using him as a pawn because of his American citizenship.
This is an American, and we want American justice. He's here legally. He's been here for a long time, and he's a friend, and we want him back.
Amir did nothing. Amir is a good man. He's a good father. He's a good husband. We just want to put so much pressure on our senators, our congressmen, all officials to bring Amir home.
And now Senator Jeanne Shaheen's office is actually working with Corey's family to try to get him released. Her office tells us tonight she is in constant communication with the U.S. ambassador on the ground in Lebanon. Reporting live in Dover, I'm Tim Calorie, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Golden's on the Green event raises money to help rescued animals. Wet noses, wagging tails, puppy love, and a kissing booth, all included. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
At Wentworth Douglas Hospital, community is at the heart of everything we do. That's why we're expanding our...
Oh, this was a tough one for me. Good boys and girls filled downtown Amherst today for a great cause. Look at that little nose. About 24 golden retrievers came together for Golden's on the Green to raise money for other animals.
Take a close look. What happens when you combine wet noses, fluffy wagging tails, and endless puppy love? You get a little slice of heaven. A heaven filled with adorable, irresistible golden retrievers.
Oh, no, thank you. Oh, thank you very
We'll get free
much.
kisses anytime.
Yeah, that's very
he's
nice.
hugging. He's hugging you.
Thank you.
Endless hugs, and if that's not enough, there's a kissing booth.
Thank you.
Yes, a doggy kissing booth.
Kiss either their dog or another dog, but the lady running the booth is off limits.
Bill Swift, a new golden owner himself, had the vision to fill Amherst's town green with pure happiness. He's raising money for the Humane Society for Greater Nashua, which back in June took in about half of the more than 100 dogs that were rescued from a Bradford home as part of an animal cruelty investigation. Some of those dogs are here today, now living with loving families.
And the fact that she's here with all of these strangers and other dogs is pretty amazing.
For her to be able to see other Goldens, and, you know, we're working on socializing her at this point in time, so this is great for her.
Seeing her, a dog that probably lived in a kennel her whole life, be able to go out and play in the grass and take care of her babies was nice for my kids and for all of us.
The Humane Society says all but about 4 of the dogs it had as part of this case have now been adopted.
I can assure people that their donations get put to good use at the hardworking shelter that we are.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Sounds like a fun event there yesterday. U.S. features point to a higher open on Wall Street. U.S. stock index features were trading higher on Monday morning. Video of drunk bus driver in Washington state released. Let's take a listen to this video from ABC News.
We turn now to a school bus driver allegedly drunk on the job in Washington state, already facing a DUI charge after a student had to call 911. Tonight, the frightening video from inside that bus, and you can hear the children screaming in fear. Here's ABC's Rachel Scott.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy!
Tonight, parents in Washington state getting a first look at their children's terrifying bus ride home from school.
No, whoa, no!
Police say the driver, 48-year-old Catherine Macarone, was under the influence while behind the wheel earlier this month. Newly released video capturing the panic on the bus. Young students screaming on the edge of their seats.
I am crazy. I'm totally crazy.
A boy rushing home to call 911, telling the operator his driver sped through 3 red lights.
She's like wobbling, and then her eyes, you can tell she was drunk.
Did she smell of alcohol?
Her breath sort of smells like alcohol.
Macarone driving 90 students that afternoon, later arrested.
This is going to be a DUI.
Is it?
Yeah.
I was hoping the kid wasn't right.
She's charged with a DUI and 2 counts of reckless endangerment. Officers noting they smelled an obvious odor of intoxicants. That school district says it has implemented new safety procedures to better screen for drivers. And as for Macarone, she was not available for comment but has since resigned, and she will appear before court in about 2 weeks. Tom?
Scary moments for those kids. All right, Rachel, thank you.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this morning edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.